Hi, welcome to Forage Drops, a special edition for the National Forages Week celebration. To open this week, I'll be talking about this important topic and really how and why forages are important to our general ecosystems, agricultural ecosystems, and where they fit, and in terms of ecosystem services and the environmental benefits that they can provide. So let's get started talking about how forages fit in our southeast region. So the primary feed source used on most livestock operations in the region, just because we have a wide variety of forages species adapted to these climate conditions. We do have favorable climate conditions that we can be growing forages almost year round in the region. And then we also have access to some resources that we can use as, for example, poultry litter as an alternative fertilizer resource to provide nutrients to those forages. Besides all that, one of the largest benefits that we have is that soils under perennial grasslands, they are important sinks of soil organic carbon. And based on the management strategies that we're doing on those areas, we can be really working on providing more nutrients and work on the accumulation of those nutrients in the soil. But there's something that's really important to think about is that there's no one size fits all when we're talking about forage systems. So we really need to be thinking about and looking at the system as a in general. When I talk about systems, I talk about the plants, the animals, the soil, the climate, environmental conditions that you have on that system. So I do need to be thinking about and looking at that whole system to be able to adjust management plan. What are the best strategies to be using on those based on the goals for animal performance, feasibility, profitability of that system. So there are several factors that we need to be thinking about and really having a good understanding when we're working on our forages ecosystems. Uh, most of these systems, livestock forage systems in this southeast region are managed under grazing for at least most of the period, most of the growing season for the animals. And when we're grazing, there is no need to harvest, store, transport, or feed animals with wagons. So we are able to save on some of those emissions that would be associated with gas use, greenhouse gas emissions that would be associated with gas use for having to do those activities. However, we do need to be making sure that we have a plan to feed animals during those months of the year that we're not going to have forage readily available for harvest outside due to weather conditions, or just because you just established some plants as for example in fall, early fall, until the cool season forages are grow, so we can graze. We need to have a plan B there and really be working on having either stockpiled forages, or we can have some hay that we're going to be feeding the animals for a short period of time. Some marginal areas, and this is really worldwide, some marginal areas we can only have some type of use for those areas because of the challenges related to either harvesting something else as a crop or really the soil conditions are more challenging. So for some of those areas, we would really be looking at only planting grasslands on those because they are the only ones that can undergo those conditions. Um, in general, livestock production and ruminant production, we are going to be recycling a lot of feed stuff, a lot of sources that would not be a viable source to be used for anything else. So those ruminants have a really important role on recycling those, so we can really work that out, and they are going to be converting those sources, those feed sources into high quality protein products, which are going to be used on our diet. So this is a really important role that ruminants have on the food production system. Besides grazers, they are going to be eating the forage and really being able to recycle some of those nutrients that they are eating. They're going to recycle back into forage ecosystems, and they are going to be really working on that nutrient dynamics on those systems. So when we're talking about using forage system, using pastures as many days as possible that we are able to have animals on pasture, we are going to be lowering feed costs. So it's really important to think about being a grass grower, because this is the way that we're going to be able to optimize the use of those resources and having those animals as many days on pastures as possible. Then we do have some options. There's a wide variety of forage species that we can use, and we can always think about incorporating legumes into forage systems where we have grasses growing, just because legumes are able to uh, fix nitrogen, so they are going to be making that nitrogen available to grasses in companion with them. This is going to be helping us to decrease the reliance on inorganic nitrogen fertilizer, which is a viable option, but also the inclusion of legumes into pastures help to improve the forage production and quality, which supports animal performance. So this is really going to be working towards our increased sustainability, but also improving the profitability of those systems, those forage livestock systems as well. As I just mentioned, this is going to be helping also with diversifying the species that we're going to have on a given area. So when we do this, we do work on the improved animal performance, but also we are going to be increasing the wildlife habitat and food resources. We're going to be working on improving the soil fertility, the soil health, and really diversifying the microorganisms that are going to be on that soil from now on, when we have different functional forage groups, plant groups as well. So there are several environmental benefits that forages are able to provide to us human beings, and we do call those ecosystem services. So they are really important on the food production cycle, on the agricultural systems in general, industry in general, and they do have important role on providing food for ruminants, for the animals, but also they do have an important role on the nutrient cycling dynamics in the soil and in general for agricultural and plant systems as well. So with that, I conclude what I had for this video. This is the Forages, the National Forages Week. Let's help celebrate this week and really recognize the importance of forages in our agricultural industry and agricultural systems. Thank you so much for watching this video.